and get a bit of a line through some of the things that are happening. Momentum coming from behind, we'll discuss that in some greater detail as well. So a lot to get through. But for Carlton fans, the AFL ladder is just beautiful reading at the moment. And you have a look at it and you see their side who are just doing everything right. They're up in the top three, they're undefeated. The top two teams we expected to be there. Yep. So, you know, they just fly under the radar to some degree, which is a nice thing for both lots of supporters. But the story right now, the Blues, they could easily have been the Hawks, who were really brave in defeat as well. It was an extraordinary game of footy to watch that one at the MCG yesterday.
It was, really. They came back really hard, and you thought, really, when Hawthorn loomed up, you thought they looked like they were going to win by 3 goals. So Carlton did well to hang on for the victory in the end. You actually look at the next month of football as well, guys. There's every chance Carlton could be on top of the ladder. So, you know, they're absolutely flying. They're all very winnable games compared to that opposition. So, playing some great football, everyone's excited about that. There's a lot of elements to like for me. If you actually look at... If we talk about... I don't think they're going to win a flag this year, but they've got a bit of Melbourne about them from 3 or 4 years ago. If you purely look at the talent, they've got A-grade talent, guys, and you can't win without sort of 4 to 6 A-graders on your team.
I know you're going to have a look at a reason just to... I know you don't want to rain on the parade, but you've got some stuff to show us in a moment and talk about that perhaps we just need to just cool a little bit on it.
Well, Carlton supporters have got every right, considering what they've been through over the past couple of decades, to be lapping this up, to be enjoying it. There's been the jokes about pre-purchasing grand final tickets and all of that, but our job is to drill down and take a look at what we think might be happening at Clubland. So we've done that today, and just take a breath.
OK, before you become Debbie Downer, let's celebrate let's celebrate this great Carlton first quarter, this onslaught that was just, for the three of us to sit back and watch the boys go to work. I mean, this was just a contested mark fest against a defence that we spoke about last week. This Hawthorn defence is young and it's developing. And
how good's Curnow been since he's came back?
Well, Curnow, Mackay, Silvani doing the job, de Koning down there as well. It was get it in quick and let the big boys go to work, and it was a throwback.
It was great to see. That's why it's so exciting. And they've got a couple of A-graders in that forward line. Obviously, their midfield's stacked as well, but they were fantastic. And obviously, it helps their direct style to get it in there, no doubt about that. You know, so the issue probably... I got a little knock on the key forwards, is they didn't bring the ball to ground enough late in the game. That's really what turned the game in Hawthorn's favour. They started taking some intercepts, a lot of intercept marks. So the big fellas, just a little bit of a clip there for them.
Well, this is the story, isn't it? I mean, and going forward, they're trying to get this balance right, because when they weren't marking it in the second half, the intercept marking came into play from a Hawthorn point of view, or the rebound came. And, you know, Charlie's still getting back to full fitness. Harry Mackay had a couple of unbelievably good chases, didn't see too many in the second half, and they were able to go the length. Now, Hawthorn will have a look at their numbers from defensive half. They're above, well above average. But this is a conundrum for them. Get the ball to ground, and then Jaff went to work, and then they rebounded aggressively. And look at this pressure at this stage of the game. And it was a ferocious game. But in the second half, it opened up for them. And if you've got 4 big talls sitting in your forward 50 when this is happening, it's an issue.
We talk about midfields being where the game is won and lost a lot of the time. In the first half, I mean, the game was decided in the Carlton forward line because the Carlton forwards were dominant. The second half, the game was decided because of the exact opposite, the way the Hawthorn defenders were able to intercept and rebound the footy. This is the great adjustment we've seen from Sammy. The transition ball use from Hawthorn is a real strength. Yep. The transition defence for Carlton remains an issue. We'll get into that.
You will in a moment as well. So that was great to see, because when they did get out, then I'm sure Michael Voss will be... his learnings from this whilst they still won. That second half, behind the goals vision, we'll have a look at it and go, how will we set up for a rebound? And they got split open. It was exciting for Hawthorn fans. They would have loved every second of it. Hit the front, Silvani kicks a goal late, Carlton.
Yeah, the two elements were, as I say, the key forwards just not bringing the ball to the ground. And they generally looked out of juice, didn't they? I've never seen so many players with their hands over the hips, so they weren't able to get back inside 50. But I do like the element of the small forwards, Gaz. Now, we've talking about the big blokes, but I've loved the pressure of Owies and Durden, and I think that's been really good. I think Fisher. Fisher there as well. Jack Silvani you can almost put in that category as well, even though he took a really good mark there. I think he's a good pressure forward as well. So I think they've got the balance and the elements there, Gaz. So I don't envisage a whole heap of changes. Yes, we know Mackay's going to be there. We know Curnow's going to be there. And de Koning, you think, probably survives because he's the second ruckman as well. So balance-wise, I think it looks pretty good with those small forwards have been terrific.
So they're getting their just desserts and they're getting their praise and their accolades, which is great, really. And as you said, you dig a little bit deeper, though, and there's a couple of things that it wouldn't be news to anyone at Carlton. Michael Voss would be all over this as well. But what's your issue?
Yeah, so you can get seduced by the scoreline a little bit at times, can't you? And the ladder position, and that's why Carlton supporters are up and about and they're excited, and that's great. But what is happening at Clubland? And this would be a concern, despite being 3-0 for Michael Voss. Points from clearances, they are smashing teams. They're the best in the competition. Points differential from turnovers, not great. So a lot of area for improvement. It's been an issue for them for a number of years. You can see the eye test is they're more engaged, the personnel's different, they're defending with better intensity, but the way they got opened up in the second half would be of concern. And the reason it is such a concern is that without a strong turnover game, history says you can't compete at the end of the season.
So that number 11 in the competition right now won't seem competing.
That won't get it done. That won't get it done.
Even won't get it done to win a grand final or just to make finals?
Well, you could scrape in, but history says that you won't get it done at the right time of the year. So you look at a side like Richmond, when they were so strong with the turnover game, the stoppage game became the cream on the cake for them.
Yeah.
The same with Melbourne last year. #1 turnover team all year. Last 8 weeks of the year, cream on the cake. The clearance game became strong and was strong in the grand final. But you just need more balance within your game if you're Carlton.
Which is not a disaster, is it? I mean, it's a great problem to have. You identify it, you're undefeated, but you know where the improvement comes.
Exactly right, Gaz. So I think what's scary is that there is scope for Carlton. There is a lot of upside in Carlton's game plan and system and the way they're still... Like, let's not forget, it's Michael Voss's three weeks in.
Is it easier, you say, you mentioned Vossi, so new coach, 3 weeks in, so new system, clearly. Is it easier? It's easier to get the stoppage game right, though. And they've got talented midfielders, we know. I think ball movement and defending ball movement is harder because there's a lot more pieces there, especially defending turnover. That'll, I think, take time as the system starts to bed itself in. More
moving pieces. So exactly right. So the stoppage is you've got time, you've got your leaders that can instruct, that can direct, that can point. The turnover game's instinctive. That's built habitually over a number of pre-seasons. So 3-0 with that much scope.
Upside.
Last thing I'll say, I didn't think I'd be saying this 12 months ago, but they really missed Mitch McGovern because they couldn't get their turnover game going because they couldn't get the intercept marks back in defence. So it was a big loss.
It's a great start for them. Not a great start for the North Melbourne Footy Club.